On December 16, 2025, the White House issued a brief statement. The US would establish formal diplomatic relations with the Republic of Somaliland. The UK followed within minutes. The dam had broken. For over 30 years, Somaliland had existed in limbo, ignored by the world's maps. Now, its reality was being recognized, sending shockwaves across the Horn of Africa. In Hargeisa, disbelief turned to celebration as flags were unfurled and car horns blared. This was the result of months of quiet, intense diplomacy, driven by shifting global interests. Somaliland's strategic coastline and stability had become too important to ignore. In Mogadishu, the news was a diplomatic earthquake, sparking protests and condemnation. But the tide had turned. Other nations began issuing their own positive statements. The world was redrawing the Horn of Africa's map, not by old borders, but by new realities. To grasp the moment, look back to 1991. As Somalia collapsed into chaos, the North, former British Somaliland, declared independence. While the South descended into war, Somaliland built a functioning state in isolation. It held fair elections, issued its own currency, and maintained peace, unlike its neighbors. Yet, international recognition never came. The African Union feared a domino effect of secession. Western powers deferred, clinging to a one Somalia policy. The cost was real: no access to global finance, no binding contracts, and a population in limbo. Somaliland was punished for its success: stable, democratic, but invisible. Recognition would finally break this paradox. The breakthrough wasn't about morality, it was about strategy. The Red Sea, now a militarized flashpoint, made Somaliland's coastline a prized asset. US defense officials saw Somaliland as a rare island of stability. President Iro's offer of port and airfield access at Berbera tipped the scales. Energy security was another driver. The war in Ukraine had upended global oil markets. Somaliland's geology hinted at untapped reserves, but legal uncertainty kept investors away. Recognition promised new energy sources and a reliable partner. Old arguments against recognition, fear of destabilizing Somalia, no longer held weight. Al-Shabaab thrived in chaos, not in Somaliland's order. The world had changed. Ignoring Somaliland was no longer tenable. The risks of inaction now outweighed the risks of change. Recognition became a pragmatic necessity. Recognition triggered a whirlwind of change. Embassies opened in Hargeisa. The city buzzed with new diplomats and investors. Somaliland's banks joined the global financial system, slashing business costs overnight. Legal legitimacy followed. Contracts were enforceable, deals solidified, and new investors arrived. The Somaliland passport gained real power, opening borders for students and entrepreneurs. Airspace control returned to Hargeisa, bringing new revenue and connectivity. For ordinary people, the changes were immediate and tangible. The first 100 days plugged Somaliland into the world's circulatory system. Isolation was over. Integration had begun. Recognition unleashed Somaliland's energy potential. Major oil companies, once wary, now competed for exploration rights. Somaliland's geology, akin to oil-rich Yemen, attracted global attention. A sovereign wealth fund was established to avoid the resource curse. Legislation mandated investment in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. The goal used oil wealth to build a sustainable, diversified economy. Somaliland was no longer a curiosity. It was a player in global energy. The challenge turned potential into broad-based prosperity. The port of Berbera was transformed from a regional outpost to a global maritime hub. Recognition allowed Berbera to join international shipping networks, slashing costs and attracting investment. The Berbera corridor became a vital trade route for Ethiopia, reducing its reliance on Djibouti. Competition intensified, driving efficiency and innovation across the region. For Djibouti, Berbera's rise was a wake-up call. Strategically, Berbera offered Western navies a new foothold in the Gulf of Aden. The US quickly secured naval access, shifting the regional balance. Somaliland's port was now central to Africa's trade and security. Somaliland's digital ecosystem, born of necessity, became a model for Africa. Mobile money and cheap data laid the groundwork for a digital-first economy. Recognition supercharged fintech, connecting Somaliland to global payment networks. E-commerce, remittances, and digital public services flourished. Tech investors saw opportunity in a young, innovative population. Startups in agritech, health tech, and education attracted global capital. Somaliland aimed to leapfrog traditional development, building a digital state. The future was about innovation, not just infrastructure. For Somalilanders, recognition was deeply personal. It validated decades of struggle and resilience. The Somaliland passport opened doors. Students, business owners, and families could travel freely. Investment brought skilled jobs and hope for the youth. The national project shifted from survival to prosperity. Recognition proved that stability and democracy could triumph over old orthodoxies. Somaliland's journey offered hope to other aspiring nations. For its people, a new era had finally begun. If you want serious geopolitical analysis, grounded in facts, not noise, subscribe, because the future is already forming.